morning, everyone. 17 minutes after the hour. Welcome to the Sunrise Show. Craig Froelich in on News Radio 880 KCMX, and thrilled, absolutely thrilled to welcome onto the program a wonderful guest and world traveler, Brian Tracy, the none other New York Times best-selling author. He's been doing this for a number of years. He has, these numbers are absolutely astounding. Addressed more than 5 million people in 5,000 talks around the U.S., Canada, and 69 other countries. He currently speaks to 250,000 people a year. He's written over 70 books. He speaks 4 languages. He's the president of 3 corporations, and he's going to be in Medford Tuesday, February 2nd, in at the Commons. Tickets are still available. And Brian, it's just great to have you on the program. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Craig. It's just a delight to be with you. Thank you very much.
You know, the books, No Excuses and Eat That Frog, they stick out in my mind. And dealing with self-discipline and this someday island, I love that. And the development of character, I want to find out, aren't these the biggest fears that people have?
Well, you know, I started off as a young man, poor, working at laboring jobs on ships and construction and farms and so on. And then one day I began asking the question, why are some people more successful than others? And that question sort of rang like a bell in my brain. And over time, it became kind of like the central focus. And so I began searching. And I read later in history, philosophy, that sometimes a single question will change the direction of your life. The question will hit, and you'll never the same. It just sort of pulls you. And that's what pulled me. So I began to read about successful people. I took thousands of hours of courses and audio programs and seminars and workshops, and I asked successful people, and I finally found out the answers. And the answers are pretty simple. Og Mandino, you know, the great writer, once said to me, he said, you know, the secrets of success are very simple. It's just they're just not easy to apply. But they've been known for ages. They've been known for 2,000 years. There's nothing new. They're very simple, very clean, very clear. So that's some of the things we'll be teaching by the way, with regard to this transformation workshop. The secrets of success in business are pretty simple. If you do them, you're successful and profitable, and if you don't, you're not. And it's pretty much black and white, and the market is neutral. So if you learn them, and it's quite astonishing, because I speak to 250,000 people a year, and I say, here's how to be successful in this field, whether it's sales or marketing or business or management or leadership. And they just shake their head. They hadn't even heard these things before.
You know, what's amazing, Brian, is that's what you're dealing with. You're connecting with folks, and very cool, and so appreciate that, is that this transformation workshop, you're customizing this presentation to Southern Oregon, to the business leaders in Southern Oregon, along with Chris Rollins. It's a total customized workshop for personal growth, leadership, and business transformation, and this this model re-engineering. And I was going to ask you about the economy. I mean, you had to, after doing this for so many years and watching this huge housing bubble back in 2000 and 2008, and the test of character, didn't it? I mean, it became even more so a relationship economy, and here you are teaching about relationships, right?
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Well, what has happened is that the level of competition has gone up dramatically, and the speed of change has gone up dramatically. So what worked before doesn't work anymore, and what works on Friday may stop working on Monday. So what is happening now all over the world is this whole concept of business model innovation. I call it business model reinvention. And what it says is very simple. It says your business today is designed to get you exactly the results that you're getting today. And it cannot be otherwise. It's almost as if you put certain ingredients into a bowl in a recipe in the kitchen, and what you put in that bowl is exactly what you get. And it can't be otherwise than what you put in the bowl. And so if you want to get different or better results, higher sales, higher profitability, faster growth, and so on, then you have to change your design. Your design is not working. And so what I have been focusing on now for 2 or 3 years all over the world with thousands of business people is helping them analyze their business model. And you know what we found? Harvard did a study on this. 80 to 90% of business owners are not clear what their business model is.
Wow.
They're not really sure what it is. And so we point out that a business model is standard. It's made up. It's like the numbers from 1 to 10. It's made up of a series of specific activities in a business. And what you do is you go through. If you're not getting the sales and profitability you want, it means that one of those pieces in the business model is not working. And it may have worked before, but it's not working anymore. So I just take people through and say, here are the 10 parts. And what you do is you look at each one, like you pick up a piece of a mechanical piece from the workbench, and you look at it, and you look at it from different points of view to see if it's working. And if it's not, if it is, you replace. If it's not, you replace it. Now, if it is, you put it back. And sometimes it's like a car. You know, you can imagine a car that's perfect, but you got one piston that's blowing. Well, how far are you going to get with a car that's perfect in every way? Just one piston blowing. Well, the fact is the car's not going to go at all.
Exactly
you have just one piece of your business model not working, and your whole business stops.
And then what happens?
You can tell, you can always tell, is your business working? Is it working? I mean, are you generating sales and profitability consistently and predictably? If you are, then you have a good business model. If you're not, well, then you need to step back and look at it.
So, Brian, how many businesses do you bump into where they're trying to run on an 8-piston car? They're trying to run on 7 pistons.
Well, here's the discovery, and this ground has been plowed thoroughly by some of the best researchers in the U.S. and Europe. It's about 80 to 90% of businesses are working with a business model that is partially obsolete, which means the business is struggling, or it's getting unpredictable results, or it's completely obsolete, which means the business is going broke, and the business owners are sitting there like a car that's broken down by the side of the road, and they don't know how to fix it. And you come along, and I've worked with so many people now. The teenagers have this expression, SMH, shaking my head, shaking my head. Well, I say here's how a business works, a successful business, and here are the various parts, and how do these parts apply to you? And they're just shaking their head because they'd never thought of that before. They had never thought of it before. And we talk about sales and marketing and customer service and strategy and financing and competitive analysis. I mean, how are you different from your competitor? How are you different and clearly superior in such a way that your customers vastly prefer your product or service to that of your competitors? And they go, huh? SMH. Shaking my head. I don't know.
I know it.
Well, competitive advantage is the heartbeat of successful business. I mean, it's the lub-dub. If you don't have competitive advantage, then you can't compete. Then you might as well close your doors and go home, watch television.
Exactly right.
Huh?
This is amazing. It truly is amazing, and it's got to just be tickle your fancy. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got none other than Brian Tracy, the New York Times best-selling author and motivational speaker from around the world. He's going to be in Medford February 2nd in at the Commons. Tickets are still available. We've got another segment coming up with Brian Tracy. We got to get to a breakthrough, and then we come back. The workshops customized to Southern Oregon. Back after this break. Good morning, everyone. 35 minutes after the hour. Welcome to the Sunrise Show. Craig Froelich in, and continuing with, I'm going to say world famous, Brian. You probably don't like to hear that, but world famous, New York Times bestseller, has been writing. He's written over 70 books. He's spoken to over 5 million people. He talks to 250,000 people a year. He's helped 5,000 corporations with success training, and he's going to be in Medford February 2nd in at the Commons all day. He'll be sharing the stage with the John Maxwell team member Chris Rollins. And Brian, it's great to have you on the program this morning. We were talking about success principles, and this workshop that you're going to be conducting, it's customized for Southern Oregon. You spent time asking questions about leaders and the economy in Southern Oregon, and the part 1, 2, and 3, your most valuable asset, your business model reinvention, your 7 rules for the 21st century. This is big stuff. Yes. Well, as I said before, the secrets of success are not complicated. And over the years, I remember Napoleon Hill did his study, 22 years, interviewed 500, the most successful multi-millionaires in the world, and asked them, why are you successful? He was doing this study called the philosophy of success, and it turns out that they all had one big goal.
that they worked on nonstop. And unsuccessful people don't. A recent study looked at habits of rich people versus poor people. Rich people have one big goal. 85% of wealthy people have one big goal that they work on all the time. And they know what it is, and they work on it, and they think about it, and they talk about it, and they can explain it to others. Only 3% of poor people have one big goal, and they don't work on it all the time. So you go right back to the beginning of the original studies. It all comes down to being absolutely crystal clear about what you want and writing it down and making a plan to achieve it and then doing it. It's like wanting to build a dream house. First of all, you get an idea, a concept of what you want, then you develop a blueprint, and then you find a piece of property, and then you build from the blueprint. That's really the key to success. And only 3% of adults have clear written goals and plans that they work on every day.
It's fascinating, Brian, when you think about it. It is so simple. You've said that in the past. It's just a matter of facilitating it. And quite frankly, I come back to, because in your book, No Excuses, you talk about the miracle of self-discipline and character building. And I wanted to find out with this, because everyone goes to this someday island, and the development of character. Because you wrote, if you choose rightly, that strengthens character, and if you choose poorly, that weakens character.
Yes, and so character. I just was rereading some of my notes on this. I learned this many years ago that character is developed under pressure. Just like a diamond is a lump of coal that made good under pressure. Under intense pressure, a diamond is condensed and crystallized into an extremely valuable thing. Well, the same thing with human character. Whenever you discipline yourself and force yourself to get up early in the morning and get started immediately and work on your most important task, when you have so many temptations to chat with your friends and play with your social media and read the paper and watch TV. Whenever you discipline yourself to do the right things for you, you create heat, intensity, pressure that crystallizes your character at an ever higher level. So you'll find, again, study after study shows that self-discipline is the master key to riches. Your ability to discipline yourself determines your success more than anything else. You can have all the talent and skill in the world, but if you don't have clear focus on what you want and then discipline yourself to do only that, all this wonderful talent and skill will just do you no good.
You said, Brian, in one of your books that we have more potential in us that we'll ever use in a lifetime. Talk about that.
Or 100 lifetimes. There's a study just came out in the newspaper today talking about the power of the brain and the power of the brain to memorize. And they said it's absolutely astonishing. The newest research shows that the number of thoughts that you can recall is the number 1 followed by 15 zeros. And they call that 1 tetrabyte. A tetra is 5 and a byte is 3 zeros. So 1 tetrabyte is what you have in one small part of your brain. My friend Tony Buzan, who is the author of Mind Mapping, said that the number of thoughts that a person can think is the number 1 followed by 8 pages of zeros, which means that the average person can think more thoughts than all the molecules in the known universe. And what do they use it for? Watching TV, changing channels. So it's like saying I want to be a weightlifter. So what you do is you get a pencil and you do exercises lifting a pencil. In other words, as opposed to weights. And so what happens is when you put more weight on your brain, when you really focus on learning and applying your knowledge, you become smarter and smarter. Your brain becomes faster and more resilient, just like the muscles of an athlete in competition. And most people don't realize that. The people coast. And my joke is, I say, unfortunately, there's only one direction in which you can coast.
Downhill.
Most people are coasting.
Yeah. Brian, it's fascinating. It's going to be wonderful to have you in Medford. First time ever. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Tracy, best New York Times best-selling author, just so many, speaks around the world, 69 countries, 5 million people to his repertoire, and 250,000 people a year. And he's going to be in Medford for a personal growth, leadership, and business transformation workshop. And it's going to be fantastic. Tickets are still available. Get to makeithappen365.com for that. You can also check out his website, briantracy.com, for all of his products. It's fascinating. And if you get to the calendar, boom, you'll see the Medford live presentation. And Brian, it's going to be great to have you in here influencing all the movers and shakers in Southern Oregon and folks. And I love what you talked about with character and strengthening. You know, I was going to ask you about your favorite quote or your favorite books or your most inspirational person, but your most inspirational place, what is it?
My most inspirational, let's say again?
Your place, the place you go to get the most inspiration. Where is it? What would you say to that?
Well, I'm sitting here in my den, surrounded by books and plaques and things like that, which is perfectly quiet. I have classical music playing in the background, and I have written 75 books in this room. And I'm now working on completing book number 76, which is due to the publishers next month. So this is probably the best place for me.
Excellent. Peaceful, quiet, gain your thoughts, and just focus. Just like we talked about, all that, the sunlight won't burn unless it's absolutely focused. Well, Brian, we're out of time.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, and we can't wait to see you February 2nd here in Medford. It's a great honor, pleasure to have you on, sir, and be well, and we will see you very soon, sir.
Thank you, Craig. I'm
All
looking
right.
forward to seeing you soon, too.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
All right. Bye-bye.
We'll be back. More on the Sunrise Show. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Tracy, a world-renowned best-selling author, will be in town February 2nd. And coming up, if Congressman Walden is en route, so we'll be talking to him after the break. Can't wait to talk to him about all of the issues going on. Stay tuned. Sunrise Show on News Radio 880 KCMX. We got to get to a break, and then we'll come back. And I think what we might do is stay long with Congressman Greg Walden. So if you stay tuned, we might even go past the hour. We can preempt the Alex Jones Show. News Radio 880 KCMX, the Sunrise Show. I'm Craig Froenig, your host. We'll be back after this break.